The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
Hey, welcome back to another special UAB Director's Chair. He is Mark Ingram. Of course, you can watch us right here on our YouTube channel on Tony Curry Radio. Listen to the podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We're available in every major industry and hear it at least 5 times a week here on the TKR app. And, of course, Mark on the left side of the screen is broadcasting live here on Friday, which a lot of people are celebrating Veterans Day today, but it actually is tomorrow, and you get a big game. How special it is at Annapolis is where you're broadcasting from this morning. Good morning to you. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, good morning, man. I'm doing excellent, thank you. Yeah, man, we're live from Annapolis here.
That's pretty cool, man. And of course, when you saw the schedule early in the season to see you were going to be taking on Navy on Veterans Day, just how special is that for this UAB program?
Yeah, we circled it on our calendar. Our family did. I think we talked about this last week, maybe, that we have a son. Our oldest son, John, is a senior here at Navy. And so we've been coming up here for the last 4 years to visit him. And we, we're fortunate enough his senior year that we play football up here, and then just also to layer in that it's Veterans Day is going to be a ton of fun. I'd hoped to actually do this from down by the water, but it's a little drizzly today. Should be beautiful tomorrow at the game. And but I figured anyway, I'm broadcasting from the Red Bean Coffee House here in Annapolis on Main Street. And I asked this nice lady, I said, hey, listen, I've got this podcast I want to do here. Would it be okay if I did this? And she's like, initially she kind of looked, I think she thought I was bringing in like the Hollywood production, lights and cameras. I was like, no. It's just me and another dude with a cell phone.
There you go.
Like, it's okay. We got it. But yeah, no, it's really cool here. And yeah, our fans started arriving last night, and our family came up last night, and so we can spend the day with our son. And
fantastic.
I've already seen several UAB people. They were on our flight, and I saw some more this morning. So yeah, we're trying to take over here in Annapolis.
Big day for UAB. Of course, you got a special basketball game going on later on tonight. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Let's go back to last week. I got your text. You said you almost had a heart attack after that FAU game. A huge victory for UAB down there, protected 45-42. And wow, if for any other reason to go watch any college football game is to watch Jacob Zeno, who's in the top 10 in quarterbacks in this country in so many categories, 484 yards, 5 touchdowns, of course, offensive player of the week. But just talk about how he is slinging the football. 25 completions now away from completing a single season record for the UAB Blazers. Pretty amazing job.
Yeah, and my guess is he'll do that tomorrow, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Yeah, it's amazing to think that Jacob was our backup, and he's been incredibly efficient. He's done a great job of not making mistakes, and that doesn't mean he's error-free, obviously, but he doesn't make a ton of bad decisions, and that's probably the area where he's improved most. And again, he's working with a guy that ran the Elite 11 camp in Trent Dilford. He's got 3 other quarterback coaches and guys that played quarterback around him. So that position, which is the most important on the field, we certainly have well stocked in terms of tutelage and expertise around Jacob. So that's been to his benefit. But Jacob is a great kid and learns and listens and takes great coaching very easily. And he has clearly shown that he's capable of playing at our level. And he's just a very mature guy who takes his work very seriously and takes coaching well. So I'm thrilled. You love to see a guy who he started out at Baylor and he transferred to us. You love to see a guy have success after really had to work to get there. So just again, really happy for him and hoping that he gets that record tomorrow.
Talk a little bit about playing a team like Navy. Obviously, they love to run the football. They're not going to pass more than 5 or 6 times a game, if that. And it would seem to be pretty easy to know that, you got a team that's going to run the football every single down. They're averaging 1 million yards on the ground. Of course, UAB giving up about 200 yards rushing per game. And so that's certainly going to be a point of contention there. But just talk about why are they so difficult to defend?
Yeah, so it's for a lot of reasons. One is the style of play is not something that you see very often and almost never. And so defending it is not something that your players are used to. The coaches, unfortunately, are not on the field, but the coaches, I guess I would say, are smart enough to try to scheme against it like anything else. Doesn't mean you can stop it, but the scheme is not the issue. But imagine trying to practice against it and teaching your defensive players how to properly take on a cut block. So now in practice, you're trying to do that without getting anybody hurt. So
Mhm.
it's really hard to effectively go practice against it in kind of a live scrimmage kind of feel. And now you're out there playing against it on the field, and it is full speed. And they're not trying to hurt you, but they're trying to get at your legs and all that, which is the one thing we all worry about, so much. And so we we work on that all week. You're trying to teach your guys something that they haven't seen before. And then the other thing is so now let's get to the game. So it's ball control. South Florida scores a lot of points the way that we do. When South Florida played these guys, they only had 7 possessions. 7.
Wow.
So you better score when you get it, because when Navy has the ball, they're going to hold the ball. Even if Navy doesn't ultimately score on you, they may choose 7, 8, 9 minutes off the clock. And so you're not going to get a lot of opportunities. So you got to protect the ball, which has not been our great strength. And you got to protect the ball, and you got to go score. Scoring hasn't generally been a problem for us, but you got to get in, and you got to get in the end zone. Field goals are not going to do it. You got to go score touchdowns, and you got to do it every time you get the ball, or nearly every time, so that you can, again, take advantage of those opportunities.
UAB, a small favorite going on tomorrow. We're recording this show here on the Friday of the day that everyone's celebrating Veterans Day. And of course, tomorrow being Veterans Day, 2:30, you can watch that game right there, the UAB Blazers. And of course, they still got to win out. And it kind of shoehorns with the Temple game, which is going on next weekend, which is also your salute to service game. Talk about that just a little bit.
Well, we try to take the opportunity as close to Veterans Day as we can to have a salute to service day and honor our veterans. We've got a lot of them in the Birmingham area, and they certainly deserve to be recognized. I think so frequently, in my era, when I was coming out of high school, Desert Storm, I had a lot of high school friends go and serve in Desert Storm. People sort of my age or a little older were going to do that, but there really have not been. We've had all that's been happening since 9/11 over in Iraq, but there hasn't been a fortunately, right? We haven't had World War II or III, and we haven't had the Vietnam War, those kind of things in kind of the less than 50-year-old crowd in our lifetime. Not really. And as a result of that, I'm not sure that everybody fully appreciates. I mean, I say this to my own children. Do you have any idea how fortunate you are to be able to play youth sports? You know why so many kids come from other countries into our country to try to play college sports at UAB and other schools? Because it doesn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's not because it's better. It's the only place you can do it. There's so many things that we're afforded here in the United States that we easily take for granted and forget. And because we haven't lived anywhere else, we don't know how much better it really is. Well, there's a reason why all the conversation around immigration is what it is. Forget, what you believe ought to be right or wrong, but the discussion is intense because there are a lot of people who want to move here. And well, why do they want to do that? Because we have a lot of freedom and flexibility. And one of those things is to speak your mind publicly and say what you want and all kinds of things. But I'm so glad that we're taking the opportunity to recognize people, and they need to continue to do that. And so I'm bullish about the national anthem, and there's some places that even I've been in meetings where people say, well, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. People are going to take a knee, and then they take a knee, and then that just causes other arguments with fans. Well, let's just cut it out. I mean, I fought tooth and nail. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but we don't play the national anthem with the players on the court in basketball anymore. And when that was happening a couple of years ago in Conference USA, that recommendation was made, and I argued till I was blue in the face about it, and obviously I lost. But I just thought to myself, where are we where we can't figure out a way to do that and in the right way? I thought it was embarrassing personally, but if a person wants to stand on the court, a player wants to leave the locker room and come out for the national anthem, they can. But yeah, there's a reason why they're all in the locker room now, and it's because of all the debate around kneeling and not kneeling and all that. And so that became a new rule, which is terrible. And, in football, in college, they've never been on the field, or not in my lifetime. And so that's not new in football. They are in the NFL, but not in college. anyway, that's a long-winded answer to say that next week when we play Temple, we're going to salute our veterans.
There you
And we're
go.
going to do it the right way.
Amen, brother. I appreciate that. This is the UAB Director's Chair. He is the UAB Athletic Director, Mark Ingram. He joins us live from Annapolis, getting ready for the big Navy game tomorrow on Veterans Day, 2:30 kickoff. The UAB Blazers a small favorite in that game. NCAA earlier this week reduced the penalties for athletes who bet on other teams. NCAA President Charlie Baker blasted prop bets earlier this week as well, citing that it is really testing the integrity of all college sports. What's your thoughts on that? Todd, info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Todd and Southside wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, I think the gambling question, yes, Charlie Baker is right. It's going to test the integrity of the game 100%. And all athletes are susceptible to potential foul play and bad people getting around them and trying to convince them to throw a game or to shave points and all that kind of thing. College athletes are just more accessible. They go to class and it may not be don't think of some 50-year-old mafia boss, like the movie Goodfellas or something. Don't picture that. Picture just a classmate, that befriends them, is like, hey man, we could make a lot of money if you do this. And it's a real thing. And I just worry about young people when you're in high school and you yourself, your parents, you may come from a perfectly good home with a stable home life, and it's not about some person that grew up with nothing. Anybody, no matter their socioeconomic background, anybody could fall victim to this. But my children, my wife and I are providing for, but they themselves may not have much money, right? So then they go to college, and the money they have is the money I provide them.
Sure.
Or if they have a job that it's going to be a minimum wage job, they're still going to be low paying. But somebody approaches them and says, "Hey, man, we could make $1,000 tomorrow." That's hard to say no to for anybody. And when you haven't ever had $1,000 in your hand at one time like that, it seems like $100,000, or $1 million to somebody. And so I worry about the opportunity for foul play there, and it's just a matter of time, Tony. Really.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking off here in just a few minutes right after this show. We're recording it early because I'm heading to Asheville to be checking on the UAB Blazers, taking on Clemson, a little tournament going on this weekend. Hoops got off, not to the great start, but they got down big time, of course, in their first game against Bradley, came back and lost by 2, had a chance to win at the buzzer. But talk about your UAB basketball program and this special game going on a little bit later on tonight. Yeah,
well, that Bradley game was the only game in the country matched up two teams that last year won 25 or more games. And that's a big deal. So listen, Bradley's a good team. They're well coached. And a lot of those guys were together last year. Remember, Andy's got 9 new players. He had 9 new players last year. So he's gone 2 straight years with 9 new players on the team. And that's tough to do. And I think it's really just more of a matter of getting the right combination of people on the court at the exact right time, and who's the best 5 and call it the best 8. To be out there on the court, and what are all the roles of the individuals. I was really proud of the way the team came back. We were down like 20 points or something. I don't know what the most was, but it was, I'm close. And to come back and take the lead by 11 shows a lot of moxie on their part. I mean, it had been very easy to go into the locker room and just lay down and come out and get their doors blown off, but they didn't. And I was also super proud of Javion Davis. Javion Davis had a monster night, and really, you talk about a guy that's worked hard in the offseason. I mean, his fitness level is better than it probably has been in his whole life. He looks terrific. He looks ready to go. He's always been agile, but he's even more agile. He's even more quick. He can now really transition back and forth up and down the floor much easier than he could a year ago. And so just really happy for him. And again, the first 14 minutes of the second half against Bradley was as good a basketball as I've ever seen anywhere. I mean, so there's, we lost the game. Bradley made a crazy shot themselves. The game was tied in overtime, and they took a crazy kind of weird floater runner. I don't even know what you call it. And we had a defender in the guy's face. I can't even believe the ball went in, but it did. And that's how they won. And we had an opportunity at the other end. We just missed. And so, yeah, I wouldn't get down on the Blazers quite yet. the team they played is really good, and we look really good too. We just got to take that 14 minutes and make that more like 38 minutes, and we'll get there. Andy's going to get in there. So yeah, big game tonight up in Asheville against the Clemson Tigers. So Andy said that in the locker room after he was talking to the team after the Bradley game. He goes, "Hey, now all we got now is Clemson." Yeah. Andy's humor is it's an acquired taste, right? So he just looked at the guys and goes, "Hey, good news is all you got next is Clemson."
I'm honored and super excited to go check out the ball game later on tonight. So super excited about that. It's going to be fantastic to see them at a neutral site game. So we'll look forward to that. All right. So we always ask you about a little classic rock, and I wanted to ask you since you're up around the Philly area in Annapolis, and of course, honored to have you here, and so happy you get the chance to see your son and not only that, but check out a football game going on a little later on tomorrow. But talk about the music scene up there and how it's different than it is down here in the deep South.
Well, it's super eclectic. I mean, and there's nothing that a city the size of Philadelphia or Baltimore, and Annapolis is only about 30 minutes from Baltimore. You talk cities this size, and we're about an hour from Washington. So the population is super, super dense up here in the Northeast. And when you have that many people, you got a lot of different views and a lot of different, a variety of all sorts of things, but especially art and music. And so there's really nothing they don't have here. All styles, except I wouldn't say that we necessarily have what you and I would call traditional Southern classic rock. You're not going to get a modern version of Leonard Skinner up here. Probably not going to get that. But really not anything else that they don't have up here, man.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Hey, listen, have a great time. Thank you so much for taking time out in your busy schedule to do your show this week. We'll catch up next week. Go get them on both sides tonight and tomorrow.
For sure,
okay?
Man.
All right, thank you, brother.
Thanks a lot. Go Blazers.
Appreciate you, man.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.